I'll talk about it. Netflix and all of that. It's all good.
TV, yeah, I was going to put Vendetta on. Speaking of which, congratulations, man. So I still, even when I check Vendetta out on Netflix, I still look to see your name as director.
So do I.
It's got on mate, I trained with him.
Yeah, it's a lovely feeling. And when I found out it was going on Netflix, it's an achievement because it opens up to 15 million homes because Netflix is in 15 million households as of last year. So, and that's only increasing. So it gets to a broader market and people will get to see it. It's more accessible, basically.
How did
So,
you find out? Like, did you just get an email? Like, you don't just turn on Netflix one day and go, "There's my fucking film," or like, do they call?
nearly,
Yeah, is that it?
nearly.
Right.
Olga, my wife, sent me a screenshot from Facebook, and someone had shared what was coming up on Netflix, and she said, "Look, Vendetta is going to be on Netflix." And I was out walking with my mum, and we have this walk around Coombe Abbey uh, once a week, and I went, Mum, my film's going to be on Netflix. And she was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "Yeah." So that was how I found out.
No, it's pretty. You're the only
That's
guy I know with a movie on Netflix.
yeah, and it's kind of long overdue, like because as a filmmaker, I think it's nice to have that as a kind of accolade. I'm on Netflix,
Yeah,
because Netflix is so prevalent in society in terms of and our culture, and it's part of our everyday life, isn't it? And people go home and they don't really put the telly on anymore; they watch Netflix. So it's a
yeah.
huge achievement, and it's like I said, and when I was speaking to my manager over in LA, obviously they look at things like that as a massive plus for you. Oh, you're on Netflix now. Oh, it's a thing. It's a thing. It makes it more of a thing. Like it's filmed
Yeah.
on Netflix,
Yeah, I didn't
and
really
that's
think like that. Like the benefit
yeah.
now, even though it was. I mean, what year was it that you made Vendetta?
I made Vendetta in 2013. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's interesting because then Danny Dyer wasn't who he is now. Like now he's really well respected. Like you kind of took him and you gave him a great role, and he come off really well in that. Danny fucking Dyer.
Yeah. Well, he and a few other people consider that as the movie that not really. I wouldn't say it really launched his career. I think that's being a little bit too getting too overexcited. But it certainly um, he was seen in a better light by audiences because the films he was doing up until that point were just not of the best quality. And he needed a movie that was going to be kind of make a break for him a little bit, and a role that he wanted to get his teeth into. It was my first feature and my only feature that I've ever made in the UK, and we were all very keen to make it work. And Vendetta was what happened, and Danny was great in it, and I worked with him very closely to kind of bring out this character because I didn't want him. He's known, he's stereotyped as a gangster that says the c word a lot, and I made sure I didn't want him to say the c word once, just as a thing. I said, you're not going to say the c word in this movie, and then he was like, oh, okay, and yeah, it was it kind of was the platform that started to turn everything around. I think it was the turning point for him to then, him being seen as in a better light by audiences. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've known you for a long time now. I mean, me and you are good friends. We train together, but I still don't really understand like how a movie comes together. So all I know is you told me you said, Alex, like I come up with this movie that like if somebody like I think like fuck with my parents or kill my parents, like if I got hold of them, this is what I do to them. So like I get how these like crazy ideas kind of generate around your head, but then how on earth does that translate to I'm going to write it down on paper, make it a film, and then I get Danny Dyer in it and dude, like that cast is legit. Like it's the kind of film where you watch and you go, oh, I know him, I know him, I know him. I've seen him in this, I've seen him in that, and they've all been in big films, man. I'm like, how did you manage to get all those people together and do it on such a small budget?
Well, I'll try and do them one at a time. So with regard to the cast, that was 100% Jonathan Sothcott. So to kind of really break down very quickly how a film works, if you imagine a football team. The owner is kind of the studio if you're doing a big picture, like for Warner Brothers. The general manager is the producer. The director is the coach, the manager. So Jonathan Southcott was obviously the GM. He got me in to coach this team, and he put together the team. So he got that cast together through various contacts and just being in the industry for 10 plus years, making movies of about this kind of budget range, and that's kind of how we got the cast. And we did have a great cast: Vincent Regan, Alistair Petrie, Roxanne McKee. The one that terrified me the most, or I was most sort of excited about, I guess, was we had Bruce Payne from Passenger 57, who was the main antagonist in Passenger 57. How do you like your sirloin, sir? With Elizabeth Hurley, bloody, and then he takes over the plane. I was a massive fan of obviously 90s action movies, and I was like, we've got Bruce Payne from like Passenger 57, but all of the other actors, that were in it, Joseph Alton from Game of Thrones, and a lot of very talented young lads who hadn't really done anything before, who were just brilliant. And obviously Emma Sams and Tony Denham, and just a wonderful cast. But that was all Softcott. That was him and having these contacts and reaching out to them people and offering them the roles. I suppose the other question was I suppose it's a tough one in how you make the film come to fruition from your imagination. And Vendetta, every movie's different. Sometimes you'll have like what's called a spec screenplay. So you'll just basically sit down and go, I've got this idea for a movie. I'm going to go and write that. And then one day I'm going to pitch it to, producers or studios and try and sell it. That's a spec screenplay. Vendetta wasn't a spec screenplay. It was based on a spec screenplay I'd written called Snowman, which was a vigilante movie. But when I'd sent it to Softcott to try and go through that process of getting a producer to get it made, he was like, kind of don't like it, but I do want to do it. Long story short, I do want to do a revenge movie. And eventually he was like, I reckon we could get Danny Dyer for this. And I was like, okay, I'll kind of write it for him. And that was how Vendetta came about. He said to me when he was like, when you do these murder, torture, kills, so I want them to be like really gnarly, like really like gritty and horrible and dark. On the, go to a dark place and think about, if someone hurt your family or my wife. And I remember in the behind the scenes I'd done a similar interview and I'd said, if someone had come into my house and hurt my wife and my dog Jax when he was alive at that time, I'd fucking murder them. I'd fucking rip their jaw out with a crowbar, and that nearly got in there as well. So I just pulled on that because I've got a wild imagination. Whether it be for action sequences, you do the same thing. You just explore the most outrageous action sequences you can, and then you go and write them. And you just do the same thing when you go in dark. You just go as dark as you can, and you explore that. But just know that you can visit that and come out of it, and it's not real. It's all just all movies. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the one that always sticks with me, I think you know which one I'm going to say, is where you pour cement down that guy's throat and fucks him up.
Yeah, that was grim. That was grim. I mean, again, that's the one that everyone mentions. Getting pulled in half by a car is
that was the one. Yeah.
That was pretty grim. Then he was going to inject him full of sarin, and through the needle rather than turn it into get to a gas form. That would have been horrible. That would have been something like out of The Rock when the guys go in and try and steal a VX poison gas. That was going to be what was going to happen to him. But that's not what happens in the movie. So yeah, and then when we were going to do Vendetta 2, I then had to call upon that and come up with more. It was almost like Saw, like the Saw movies. They end up getting a little bit too. They run out of ideas in the end, and they got these convoluted fucking contraptions killing. I think we were starting to go down that role. But for Vendetta 2, there was a script for it, and I had written it. It explored the military aspect a little bit more, which I've always got a lot of time for. But we also the tortures for Vendetta were kind of a stigma of what that movie was. It gave it its identity and made it a little bit different from the other revenge movies. And so I had to explore that a little bit more, and I was coming up with some right fucked up kills in the second one as well. But that movie never come to fruition. It was fun to explore that again.
Was it a risk Like, was there any, like, did you sense any risk from somebody like Danny Dyer, who was like, obviously, because this was your first feature film, or was he quite just open to like, right, I'm going to put my faith in Steve. What he tells me to do, I'll do. Or did you get any pushback from him? Like, did you ever feel like that, or was it all good?
No, it was. I was always nervous of that because when you're working with a big star, there's always an interesting dynamic, especially early on in your film career, because you're the director, so you're kind of the boss. But you're going in, and there's a lot of egos on film sets, and there can be a lot of attitude, and there can be actors who are very strong-minded. You get a lot of type A personalities, throwing their weight around, certainly on the bigger Hollywood movies. But Danny wasn't like that. Danny, and I don't know if it was because of what I said to him. I had heard stories from other producers who were kind of worry mongering me and going, "Oh, he turns up on set and he's checking his watch and he just wants to fuck off home. He doesn't want to be there." Da, da. I was like, "Oh, bollocks! I don't want to work with someone like that." But I've been dying to work with Danny for years, and I listen to what my wife always says to me, and she says, "Look, don't listen to what other people say. Just make your own opinions based on when you meet them." And he hasn't met you yet, and what he might think of you, you might, when he meets you, he's never met you before, and you might not have what these other people have got. You might have something that he sees and feels, and he he sees that you're the real deal, and he might want to trust you, and he might behave differently around you because not everybody's the same. And when I first met him, he was very cool. He was very receptive. He What had worked for me is that obviously I'd written the screenplay, and I think that always helps as a filmmaker. If you've written it and you're directing it, I'm much stronger as a filmmaker like that. Like I literally am terrible at directing other screenplays, not because I don't want to. I'm just not good at it. My last two films showed that, but I do try and I do give it my best. But I think because I'd written the screenplay, he was already kind of in my hands a little bit because he liked the screenplay. So it was always like, all right, the screenplay's good. I'm in your hands already. So you're the director as well. Great. And he knew I knew the character. He knew what I wanted to do with the character. And I just went in there with utter confidence in myself and belief in myself that I would, you know, give it 1,000% to make this movie work. And I remember the first time I met him, I just sat there and I said, look, if you believe in me and you trust me, we're going to make a great movie. And he literally it was a little moment. And he kind of just looked in my eyes and he went, I'm yours, Reynolds. And then since then, he would always compliment me on, you're a leader. Got a few beers or not. You're a leader. You're a great fucking leader. All right. And he saw that this was real for me, and I was gonna commit to making a great film, and I really wanted him to be great in it as well. And I think he saw that, and he trusted me.
So is seeing it on Netflix, like, and we'll probably call that the big screen now, because that's, I think most people watch films through
The new big
Netflix
screen, yeah.
via cinema. Yeah, is that not that you lost any passion for filmmaking, but has that reignited anything where you think, well, I've got my fucking film on Netflix, man. I'm gonna go and write something else. I'm gonna do something else. Or were you already at that point?
No, well, it's interesting what you said there because I had lost a lot of passion for making films over the last few years, just from knocking on a lot of doors and not getting any answers, and emails going into the ether and just not getting responded to. It's been a tough 5-6 years. As I said earlier, I haven't made a Vendetta is the only feature film I've made in the UK. I went over to LA after Vendetta when nothing really happened, and made a couple of films over there. But realised that I was in a place where I didn't want to be that filmmaker. And essentially, what the last 5-6 years have been for me is starting again. So I had to start again, and it took me 10-15 years to get to where I was with Vendetta. And for me, it's about the long game. And if it takes that long to get to a place where I'm making the movies I want to make again, then so be it. But that did fire me up a little bit more. It was a wonderful feeling, and it is a wonderful feeling because it's still on there. Still getting feedback on it from as we walk in the gym, random people who come up and go, "Oh, they made that fucking, they don't believe it. They don't believe that the bloke that walks into Red Corner Gym to punch some bags made Vendetta with Danny Dyer. So they get them, they Google me, and there's me and the fucking yellow cat with a megaphone or something. Oh, no. Oh, good, boss. Boss. Go, go.
Mate, it's a big deal. Like, you know, you're like me, you're a Coventry lad. Like, it's not normal for lads like us to go off and do things like make movies. I mean, how many times were you encouraged to write films when you were young? Like, it just was unheard of. Like, you just didn't do that kind of thing. So the fact that you've done it, I still get amazed by it as well. I still get super excited when I see your stuff on the work. I've always been one of your biggest fans. I just always love it, just because I see how hard you work, I think, and I see what you do, and I see a bit more behind the scenes than most. But yeah, when I googled the picture for this, I was like, "Fuck, man! Like, you look young there as well when you're doing that film." I was like, "Shit!"
Yeah.
Like,
Well, Vendetta. So yeah, it's like 2013. So yeah, what, 8 years ago, 7 years ago? Yeah, 8 years. So it'll be 10 years in 2 years. Yeah.
the business that you're in is just heavy rejection as well, isn't it? It's like being a writer. It's like there's 99.9% more times you get rejected than not. So it's a skill. I don't know how you do it to keep passion and keep enthusiastic whilst you keep getting no's and stuff like that. So I don't know how you do it. Have you got any tips for anyone that's, it doesn't even have to be in filmmaking, Steve, just, you know, when you've got that passion but it's full of just bash after bash, like how do you even fucking keep going, man?
I get it. I mean, you know, there's a side that's in all of us, I think, where, you know, and some more than others, where we just want to be, we want more out of life. We want to be more, whether that be a filmmaker, an athlete, singer, songwriter, you know, an author. And some people have that fire a little bit more. Some people have that passion a little bit more than others. Everyone's different, and everyone's field is different. For me, I'm quite a resilient motherfucker, so um, um, it takes as long as it takes to get it done. I've learned over the years to be a little bit more patient. It was almost like I was rushing to get to this point, and I found myself. Me and my wife had a lot of conversations over the last few years. She's been brilliant in terms of, you know, just slow it down, be patient. You need to learn patience, and things won't come, you know, overnight. And stop rushing through your life. You know, it's there to enjoy the journey a little bit more. But for me, Jim Beams and Eminem help a lot. Jim and Eminem. No. Yeah, it has helped. Yeah, Eminem and a bit of Jim Beams. But I guess what I'm trying to say is keep going. I always hear that in my head over and over again. Keep going, keep going, keep going. If you want it badly enough, or you want something badly enough, you will keep going. For me, what terrifies me is the uncertainty, and there's uncertainties in life, and there's uncertainties in every aspect of life, and it terrifies me to think that I'll never make a movie again. But I went through a period a few years ago where I had to accept that, because this engine, this want, and this passion to make movies has been there from a very early age. Always wanted to do it, and sometimes it takes over, and sometimes it almost becomes a parasite, and you end up, it controls you, and you end up sacrificing things that mean more than that dream. The dream's important because it's everything about making movies. Is all I want to do. It's all I want to do. If I weren't making movies, I don't know what I'd do. So for me, it was about understanding that I have to let it go. And it was one of the hardest things I ever did in my life. It's about 2 years ago. And I basically just said, if I never make a movie again, but then I said, don't lie to yourself. Don't sort of go, yeah, it's all right. I can be okay with that. Deep down, you're going, fuck that. I could never not make a movie again. That'd kill me. I needed to be in the place where I went, if I never make a movie again, it's okay. It's okay. But you never make a movie. All them screenplays, all that stuff you've been writing, working on over the years, none of that's going to come to fruition. You need to be okay with that. Accept it. See a future where you never make movies and be all right with it. Because it was kind of crippling me a little bit mentally, because I was so anxious and impatient, and knew what I've I know what I've got in the library. I know the projects that I've got, and they're you know, it's big-headed to say it, but they're brilliant and they excite me, and they're the stories I want to tell. But it just wasn't happening at one point. It's still sort of not happening now. But I found a way to deal with it. Don't let it control you. Don't let it tie you in knots. You take control of it and be okay with the fact that if you never write another book, if you never do it again, you have to be okay with that. Otherwise, it'll mess you up. And there was a wonderful catharsis in when I did that. And oddly enough, not long after, I say not long, sort of 6 months to a year, a few weird things started to happen that I wasn't motivating. And I was like, I've let go of it. But I'm not going to be stupid to the point where someone's read a screenplay that I sent them 6 months to a year ago, yeah, and they come back with an offer. I'm not going to go, yeah, I've let all of that go now. I'm all right. Yeah, I don't want to make that movie now. I'm still going to be intelligent enough to go, well, it's come back and it's looking for me now. So let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, I was having a similar chat with Kit Dwell, Mandy, who's
Yeah.
published author. And we were talking about like the right time to give up, and I don't know what you've just mentioned sounds to me like you let the outcome go a little bit more. So you let it's not just about the dream of having a movie made and to be a big feature, because you still get the essence of I still get to create movies, which is what I loved. I still get to write. And my new attitude is, well, if somebody picks those up and decides that they're fit for production, great. But I'm still going to do what I love doing. And most people who've succeeded in their fields seem to say the same thing. So Mandy was the same. She was just like, I just decided that I want to be a writer. And this guy here, I don't know if you've heard of him, this poet, Charles Bukowski. He was just like,
no.
look, yeah, he tried for 20 years. Like he was like, he said, I decided I'm going to be a broke ass writer. Like that was his decision.
Yeah,
Like,
I've got the Postman. Sorry to interrupt. I've got the Postman somewhere, and I was reading that. And anyway, yeah, I know all about Charles Bukowski. But anyway, yeah, carry on.
Yeah, he's cool as a fucker, right? Like, yeah,
Yeah,
he's really cool.
love
I think there is. This is a bit of a paradox thing. I think there is strength in giving up or letting something go. Let's call it. Let's call it that rather than giving up. And you sound like you're in a real good place, man. Like your energy sounds great. You sound like you've come to peace with that a little bit.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is maturity as well. Just growing up, I'm 25 now, so I'm 43 now. So I think a lot of it is just maturity. I think as a young guy, young passionate guy growing up on the streets of Coventry and getting into fights and having his bike nicked and doing all sorts of hoodlum shit. I was always slow to grow. I noticed I was always a late bloomer, and I was slow to mature. People grew out of toys before I grew out with them. Still playing with freaking Action Man now, but I was that guy. I was that kid that wanted to hold on to his youth and never wanted to grow up. I still don't want to grow up now, but I think that a lot of that is maturity and life experience. And as life goes on, you just become older and wiser, and you either and that's I guess that's kind of a lot of what's happened, and also with the many disappointments that I've had along the way, certainly over the last 6 years, and the doors closing and the emails not being responded to, and you almost you feel like an outcast. And that was why I made Out of Mecca. And that was why I wrote those books. I wrote like Prowler and The Redemption of Alice Daggett. And then when I'd written them, I was like, well, can I do a movie like that? Because I can't get help to make these movies, so I'll just do it all myself because I know I can do it. And then you find out that you've got a reputation for being difficult because you're doing that, and you can't win. And I heard that not so long ago, and I was like, fuck. But it's not that I don't want to work with people. People aren't picking up the phone, so I have to make these movies myself. It's not because I don't want to work with people. In this industry, there's a lot of speculation, so people just hear what they want to hear and see what they want to see, and it makes sense that Steve Reynolds is difficult to work with, so he just makes all of his own movies. And I'm like, you're the fucking guys that aren't answering my emails. How can you say that? It's tough, been tough, man.
You have got a young energy about you, man. But I think that's what makes you great, man. Like you're still curious. I think a lot of like guys like lose that curiosity, and they always say when you lose that, like you lose a lot of passion. You stop being interested in things. Like you just accept that like my life is get out of bed, go to work, come home, watch, and
Yeah,
you lose your curiosity and everything. So I think that's what makes you good and why you would go and explore even these dark thoughts you were talking about. You're curious about them. You're curious about, well, what would I do if someone killed my mom and dad? Like you think like that. I think that's good, and you go and explore it. So yeah, but I totally resonate with the whole maturity thing. Like it's a hard thing to explain to like a lad in his 20s now, isn't it? But like it's
yeah,
weird. You become maybe less ambitious is the wrong word, but you become more open and peaceful, I think, with just life.
yeah,
And then I think you stop relying on things having to happen for you to be okay. So you just decide, oh, this is who I am. I'm going to chase
yeah,
my goals still, and if they happen, fucking bonus. If they don't, that's okay because I'm a little bit more comfortable with who I am.
yeah. I think when I was a lot younger, I mean, I'm a natural. I feed off excitement. I love being inspired. Being inspired, like seeing an inspiring moment in a movie or hearing something in a song will set me off. I cry more happy, inspirational tears than I ever have sad tears in all my life, up until last year when Jack's passed away, and I've cried every day for 3 weeks, and made noises that I'd never heard my mouth make in all my life. But um, I am usually very sensitive, or I am very sensitive to inspiration and excitement. I love being excited. I think that's the child inside of me. Um, but when you have statistically more disappointments than payoffs when an exciting moment comes along, you're not so quick to get excited about things when they're on the horizon. And I think that's a massive lesson that I've learned over the years. In that, when I first heard about Vendetta, I was climbing the walls. I'm going to work with Danny Dyer, and but that happened. Now, the amount of times things like that have nearly happened and not happened has been more than that one time. So you end up going, statistically, this thing that might happen probably ain't going to happen. I'm not. I don't get excited anymore. I don't get excited because the disappointment can be quite crippling. Yeah, crippling maybe is a too severe word. It's just horrible. It's a horrible feeling, especially when so much is at stake. It's a big dream. Making movies, you know what I mean? I'm not designing wheelbarrows. I don't know where that came from. But and if you are designing wheelbarrows, fucking keep going, man. But do you get me? The stakes are high. I want to make movies in Hollywood. Now, here's the thing. I don't anymore. I just want to make good movies. Before it was like, going to Hollywood, I want to make movies. I want to make big Hollywood movies, and I want my name. Look at Steve Reynolds, man. Now I'm like, I get more excited about the prospect of doing little subversive, character driven, stylish thrillers. Now that's the stuff that's making me go, oh. And I don't care where I make them, as long as my cast is good and we
Yeah.
execute this script, faithfully. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a place for that because a lot of the big movies out there are dog shite. Like, there's not been many good films released over the last couple of years on Netflix, has there? I don't know if it's to do with the lockdown thing, but like, there's
I've
some good
made some of them.
films that are just, yeah, they do put like good leads in them and they carry the
Yeah,
movie
yeah,
as well. But
yeah.
some shit.
I was very disappointed by I'm not going to disparage other people's movies, man. I can't fucking do what they do at the minute, but yeah, I get, yeah. Like there's been a lot of disappointments. Yeah, a lot of disappointments. I can't remember the last time. It's very rare now that I watch a movie and I sit back and go, "Wow, that was awesome.
Yeah.
That was awesome."
The
It's
last
rare.
film I've watched like that was only the last 20 minutes, which was Quentin's film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, when the
Yeah,
dog
yeah.
fucking savaged everyone.
Well, yeah, I know you're going to love that moment, man. Yeah,
Other than that, it was really slow. It was really.
Brad Pitt and his dog fuck up the Manson family. I mean, what more do you want? And then the fight with Brad Pitt and Bruce Lee. I mean, what? That's just
Got
nuts.
some shit for that. Quentin got some hate for that because he was like,
Well, you don't give a shit,
out
does
Bruce
he?
Lee to be a fraud, and I think
Yeah,
he thinks he is one.
yeah. Well, that's Quentin. Quentin can do whatever the fuck he likes, apparently, and fair play to him.
Yeah,
He's
he's a badass, isn't he?
he's
He's a
worked his
badass.
way into that. He's worked his way into that position. He's a fantastic filmmaker. He's one of a kind, and yeah, he can. I think Tarantino just fucking say what he likes, basically, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. It's what you've said is really interesting to me about like the disappointment starts to outweigh the excitement of things. Because obviously I
Yeah,
work with a lot of guys that are starting out journeys, and
sure.
part of the reason they find it hard to get going is because they've just suffered or experienced a lot of disappointment in life. And you could go as even low level as weight loss, like when people have tried to get in shape so many times
Yeah,
that they stop trying. And again,
yeah, yeah,
there's a fine line there, isn't there, between becoming cynical and pessimistic and giving up and being
yeah. Piss
resigned
off.
versus battling through. Like, how much disappointment can you take? How much is enough? How much is too much? All these things are really difficult to gauge. Like, when should I stop? When should I try something different? When should I bite down on my gum shield and keep going?
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I don't think we know the answers. That's why it's so crippling. We don't know what's around the corner.
Yeah, and I think, and it's interesting what you just said there and how you finished there. That is what keeps me going because I don't know what's around the corner, and I like that. In my industry, I could have a phone call tomorrow that tells me I'm about to fly off to Atlanta for 3 weeks to shoot a movie with Bruce Willis. Like I could have that phone call tomorrow, um, because it's happened before. Not that specifically, it's happened that quickly. I could have a phone call that one of the screenplays, I'm still throwing shit at the fan. And I could have a call that, my manager goes, that screenplay was sent to that guy 6 months ago. He's finally read it and he loves it. And that could be the catalyst for then the rest of these things
Right.
can, get a launch pad. You know what I mean? I'm trying to point to these things behind me.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Um,
Yeah, go work.
my legacy is on that board. I'm in a mirror here, so I'm pointing the wrong
What
way.
it is, like your
Um,
legacy. Yeah.
and that's what I'll be honest with you, because people have asked me that before. They know how tough it's been for the last 6 years. I think everybody knows that. They always say, never let them see you bleed. And I've learned from that. Because all I've done for the last 6 years is fucking bleed out and bleed everywhere, and everyone knows that I've been fucking grumpy and up in arms and disappointed, and throwing my fucking toys out of the pram because it's been so tough. And again, that's learning and maturity. It's the first time I'd been through that, which was this roller coaster of fucking back and forth to Vancouver, Hollywood, Hollywood. Oh my God, Steve's going to sell his house. Steve's going to be living in Hollywood soon. He's going to be driving a Dodge Charger. 6 years later, he's still in the same
Yeah.
house, still driving the same old car, and that's hard. That that
Didn't that
that
didn't that happen after Vendetta, where like what you just
yeah,
described happened, where you're like suddenly you get a call and you're packing your bags and you're on a plane to Vancouver, right?
yeah. So yeah, that's right. And again, this is why, like I said, it happened before. But I clawed with my fingernails to get that opportunity. I always say, you got to be in the right place. With this industry, you need to be in the right place at the right time. But you got to put yourself in that place. You can't, it doesn't always happen by accident. And after Vendetta, yeah, nothing really came. I mean, Vendetta is a very popular movie, but it's not a great movie. Like I can't watch it. I can't watch it because there's so many things in there that I would go, oh, I fucking wouldn't do that now, which is good because matured as a filmmaker as well. And my next outing, I'm fucking so excited about what I'm going to do next. Now I don't care if that's in 5 years or 10 years. I know that if I get on a film set again, rusty as fuck, um, I am going to absolutely fucking knock it out of the park because I'm a better person. I'm a better filmmaker, and I don't care when that day comes, whether it's next year or 2032, because Clint Eastwood's still making movies in his 90s, so I've got a good few years left in me to get the fucking job done. So I'll be all right. But if I wanted to be a footballer, my fucking days are numbered. But as a film director, you can go on forever if you want to. Ridley Scott, they're all still going. Oliver Stone. It can be an old man's game, and a lot of directors are like a fine wine, and they just get better with age. So I know that that's a possibility. As long as I can't get in 5 years. But yeah, that keeps me going. But yeah, sorry, what you were saying. Yeah, nothing happened after Vendetta. You know, all the wheels ground to a halt again, and I'm just resilient and stubborn. And I was like, I'm gonna get on a plane with $400 in my wallet. I'm gonna go and just fucking knock on some doors over there. I had 3 meetings, only had 3 meetings, but I always wanted to do that anyway. I always wanted to just get on a plane and go to LA. I didn't need much of a reason, and I had one, so I just got it done. And one of the meetings was with WWE. I went in for 20 minutes. I shined them on. It was just me. I was honest, and then came back with a movie deal. Sounds easy, but a lot of it was timing and luck because they were specifically looking for new filmmakers for this slate of films that they had coming up. So it was amazing timing. And I went in there with no agenda as well. I just went into it. What I didn't know that this was the meeting that was going to change probably my entire life. Certainly for that 18 months of roller coaster. I didn't know that. And I'm glad I didn't know because that's why I went in there and just fucking said, I'm Steve and that's what I do. And they loved Vendetta. They loved how I could stretch the dollar. How did you do it? Told them some tricks, told them the way I work. And then got home, and a week later, they were like, right, got this movie for you. And I was shipped off to Vancouver, and the roller coaster started. I hated flying, man. Did like 6, 11, 12 transatlantic flights. I soon became accustomed to being on a plane, I tell you.
Yeah, you've said something that I've never really thought about there, because obviously, like if you take an athlete or footballer or whatever, you kind of know that they've got like 34, 35 years before they start to, performance drops, and
Yeah,
that's having to think about other careers. But as a creator, as a writer, like you can continue to get better in your 50s, 60s. So it's like
yeah,
Clint Eastwood. So I've
yeah,
never really thought about that, but it must almost be annoying / scary that you're going to run out of time when you think you could just carry on getting better. Whereas, yeah, the human body deteriorates and performance
yeah.
isn't as good. But you could keep getting better until the day you fucking die, right? Whereas that's not going to happen in many professions.
No, no, and it's kind of fortunate. I never really thought about it that way. Only when I did start to get older, because I always wanted to be that young hotshot making movies. I mean, I suppose Vendetta I was like 33, 34. So I was still a kind of young hotshot, and it was my first movie, first feature with that bloody cast. So I kind of ticked that box because that was what I always wanted to do. I wanted them to be like, who's this young kid who's never done anything before, and pull it off and make a good movie. And then I wanted to just get on a plane and fuck off to LA. So I've kind of lived the dream. Now it's that kind of um, it's that bit in that movie, isn't it, where everything falls apart. Yeah, if you think of my life as a movie, this is that bit where right, it's like
But it's always
Ali
the hero's journey, isn't it? You think everything's
rise
going
and
great,
fall. Yeah,
yeah, and
yeah,
then you get smacked in the face, and it's all fuck, like yeah.
yeah. I'm definitely in that now. I don't know how long it's going to last, but I do get up each day knowing that it's all in front of me. There's a world out there, and there's opportunity, and there's people who want to make movies, and there's people that are going to want to make my movies. I just need to find them. It's a big industry. It's a big world. It's full of interesting people, and I know they're out there. I just need to connect with them, and that's one of the weaknesses I identify. I'm not very good at is connecting people. You put my manager gets me the odd call now and again. You put me on a call like this, or you put me in a room with someone. I'm great, and usually, statistically, I get the job. But I'm not making those connections, and I know that's one of my weaknesses. And got to do it more. Got to get better at it. But I know that once I do that, and people see how hard I work, and those people who don't know me see how hard I work and how committed I am, and how excited and I can be on a good day. They want to work with me all the time, and I believe in myself, not in an overconfident, big-headed way. I just know that if you push comes to shove, you get me on set, and there's some crazy days on my last film, Interrogation, out there. It was just too ambitious, but I did get it done, and there were people who were going, "Oh, don't know a director who could have fucking run that crew and got that done the way you got it done. And that was a testament to my own experience, because I was like, all right, that's nice, thank you. But I didn't, you know, it was beautiful to know that. But yeah, yeah. I've just got to make those connections and more experience, make more movies. But it's not just about making more movies; it's about making good movies. Hence, why I probably haven't worked for 6 years, because I have been offered some stuff, and they just are not the movies I want to make.
Yeah, you've always been like that though. You've always had your standards high and been cautious about what you've done and such. But there was I heard a great thing the other day. In fact, it was by The Rock, who's a fucking badass. He said that
Yeah,
in your 20s, he's like, I thought I knew everything, but I knew absolutely fuck all. Like I was, and then in my 30s, I was just working out like who I was, finding my way a little bit, kind of just sorting some shit out. And then in my 40s, he said I've started to just get into a nice flow. And I never would have like understood that 5 years ago, but I can kind of feel that happening like in life. You just, like you say, just start to get into, I don't know whether it's acceptance or what, but you just start to find your feet a little bit more. But it's weird because your body ages, like, like look at, like we spoke about our hair's falling, like your body, mate, don't, fucking hate it. Your body changes, but
it's life, man.
your
It's life,
mind,
man.
your mind doesn't feel any older, does it? Like, so you
No,
can see your body getting
no,
older, and getting rid of this bit of body fat around here becomes a bit
this is
tougher.
harder. Yeah, it's getting
Yeah,
harder.
and you don't really care as much about having a fucking six pack and looking like a 20-year-old, but your body changes, but your mind's still
Young.
young. Yeah, so it's a bit of
Yeah.
weird.
I don't think my brain's aged. Well, it has to a certain extent, but there's parts of my mind that just ain't. I stopped aging at 23. You know what I mean? I don't feel like a grown up at all, man. I feel some days I just forget, and I feel like I'm fucking in my mid-20s in my brain.
Yeah, well, it's just a
Um,
shell, mate. It's just a body. So I get like that
uh,
it ages, but like, yeah, I think men especially, that's like they stay. A lot of men never turn into men; they stay as boys, and
yeah.
I
That's how
think
I feel.
we keep a little bit of that. Obviously,
Yeah,
we get responsibilities as we grow up, so we have to change
yeah,
a bit, of course. But yeah, I think it's good to keep that little. I think that's why most people are sad and depressed and not adventurous anymore, because they lose that curiosity that we spoke about being a kid and exploring. It's like it's wrong now. You shouldn't do that. You should grow up and you
yeah.
should take care of. And I get it. I get we've got to look after shit, but you want to keep an element of fun in your life, don't you? And exploration.
Yeah, I think there's a great saying, and I do paraphrase this, and I don't know it exactly, but it's something someone sent to me, and it was something to do with the artist is the child inside of us that never grew up, or something along them lines. And I love that, because I think when you're a creative, um, you really do play act the stuff out in your head the way you would as a child. Like when I used to play with my little stick men, my little action force men. It's not that different, because for me it was always about escapism. Always found growing up in Coventry to be, pretty drab and boring, in a town where there's not much to do. So I would invent worlds, and I would invent worlds in my mind, and I would invent, war games with these GI Joe action force men in my garden, and really escape into them in 100%. And then when I got too old to play with the toys, that was yesterday. I would then turn it into words and stories, which is actually them behind me in that bag.
Oh, you put all right. Yeah,
Right, see that bag? See that bag behind my head?
yeah.
So in there is the start, the beginning of everything in that bag,
Oh,
which is all of my novels that I started to write when I was 14 years old, and I was supposed to be revising for my GCSEs. So that then, it was all about escapism. Yeah, that's what it was all about for me.
yeah.
Uh, and sorry, the point I was going to make was, as you get older, really, you're kind of redoing that. You're redoing what you were doing when you were a child, but just on a different scale. I'm just open this because the light's going.
Yeah, I think we just lose our way a little bit, and that's one of the things I loved about having Benson, the dog. It was like I got to wrestle with him and do like silly things with him and you know, play little games and stuff, and you kind of like lower yourself down to like, it's like having a kid, right? You know, when you see a damaged
Primal, yeah.
kid.
It almost becomes primal because you exist on their level, and there's something beautiful and innocent in that. I mean, when I used to do the same, and you know, play with Jacks, walk with Jacks, talk with Jacks, you know, you would operate on almost their plane of existence and consciousness, and that's why I love dogs and animals so much. Yeah, dogs and animals so much because of their simplicity. They're not overcomplicated. They're not riddled with overthinking and anxiety about their next decision. They just be. And I love that. Jack's taught me so much in it. I always struggle to articulate my relationship with Jax, which I think is a good thing. In some respects, I've never been able to nail it. I've never been able to articulate what he meant. He just was, and he was everything. And he made me a better human, just by not even trying, just existing and being Jax. And that's, well, I'll never forget him. You know, he was a dog.
I had this debate with myself in the car today. I was like, okay, now I haven't got a dog. I can do what the fuck I want. I can go anywhere. I haven't got those costs. I haven't got to get back by a certain time. I can literally, like, it's just me now. I can do what I want.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, hold on. I thought, like, some responsibility in your life is good. So, yeah. So, like, let's face it, all those things, like you say, vet bills, restriction, slobber, all that responsibility. But it does give you like that responsibility gives you a purpose. So when you've got a dog, you've got to get fresh air every day. You've got to go out and you've got to feed this little thing, and you've got to look after it. So although it has its drawbacks, I thought, well, what's better, man? Is it the freedom? I was trying to work because I'm trying to think. I'm thinking about another dog. I'm thinking, Alex, calm down. Like you've got your freedom back, which I love, but I also love having a dog. So it's a 50-50 shootout at the minute. Whether you can get both, I thought in the village that I live in, dude, there's got to be a little old lady around here that would like go, oh, Alex, bring me a dog when, you know, I'm at home on my own all day. Just bring me a dog around when you want to go and I'll look after it. I bet there's some little old lady out there like that, don't you reckon?
Yeah. Well, I do that now. I mean, I don't know if you've seen, I look after all my friends' dogs now. Do you mean that way round, as in you look after their dog? Or if you get a dog, you get a dog and you want someone to look after it? I'll look after it. Bring it to mine. I'll look after it.
Why don't we dog share then?
Like, I'll look after all my friends' dogs now. If they're I've had like 3-4 of my mates' dogs that go away for a week. They leave it with me. I'll get to get cozy and I love hanging out with them.
I'm talking about like on a weekly basis, like, oh, okay, tomorrow I want to go out and climb a mountain.
Oh, I get you. Yeah. Dog share. I don't know if that's. I don't know if that's a good idea for the dog. Yeah, I don't know. I would just. Hey,
I used to share Benson pretty much. He had a fucking great life, mate. Seriously.
Yeah.
When Edwina used to come and pick him up, like he'd be like going mad, wagging his tail, couldn't wait. So he had the best of both. Like he was really naughty there.
Excited to see people. Yeah.
He
loved it. If you can sort of get that again, why not? Go for it, man.
I've been eyeing up the Saint Bernards, the Beethoven dogs.
Olga keeps, well, it's not Olga, they just keep appearing in front of us now. Is the Bernese mountain dog? Is that it?
That's the second one on my list. They're beautiful. They're big fuckers, but they can walk as well.
Well, we keep seeing them. So it's like when, you know, you mentioned maybe we'll get a new dog, and I keep seeing them. But I'm nowhere near close to getting another dog, man. Jack broke my heart. I'm not going through that again for a long time. No way.
How's the gym going, man? Are you training? Are you keeping in shape?
Good, mate. Yeah, I've let the bottom's gone a bit. I've been fighting that nearly. I've been fighting it all year, man. Like it's been a funny year, innit? You know, as soon as when we did the 12-week plan, we were motivated because you have a purpose, you have an end goal. What are we doing? I want to get in the best shape of my life, and we're filming it. Well, fuck me, let's go. You know, and we've had this conversation a lot. You need that ending. almost. You need a platform to create an ending, but it can't be the ending because then you'll let it all go. Um, and obviously, then when the pandemic came along, and I was shooting all of them videos, and I was getting into great shape again, I was motivated because, I knew I was in horrendous shape, um, and I was like, I would love to watch this. I would love to watch a guy who's out of shape. And we all knew that we didn't have access to gym kit because all of the gyms were closed. I had the worst gym kit in the world in that garage that was falling down with no roof and asbestos everywhere and some old fucking weight bench from, 1992 that my mate gave me at school. And obviously you were very gracious and gave me some bits and bobs. But generally, I had nothing. And I was like, that'd make fucking great. That'd make great. And I mentioned it to you. I might do this. You're like, oh, mate, yeah, you got to do that. And I was motivated. And then the first couple of episodes come out, I was like, oh, fucking, nah, I can't be arsed now. And then the feedback was coming in and people were really enjoying it. It motivated me more because then they were watching my progress. They were watching me get, annoyed with fucking morons on the street not doing what's being asked, encouraging people to have a little bit more solidarity so that we can beat the pandemic together. Look at this knobhead not wearing a mask. What's he doing? It's all sort of, light-hearted at times, and it was the results, there was downs, but generally I was motivated to want to get into shape because I knew then that there was a little bit of solidarity in the people that were watching. Your guys were watching. I had a friend of mine. Whose wife got cancer. They were going through a really tough time. They would they would put it on every evening. And if there wasn't an evening, he'd send me a text. He'd go, "Did you not do an episode today?" I'm like, "No, I can't do them every day, man. It'd fucking be boring in the end." And people from Malaysia and LA and New York, and they were watching them, and that then motivated me to go, fuck, I want to get in shape not only for me, but if everyone's feeding off this, it really helps you and it really excites you to want to go and do that. And that's what I need. I think we all need that. And you said a great thing once. It's easy when people are watching. That makes sense. But I know that. So I kind of put myself on that spotlight because I know I won't stop if I know people are watching. Because I know I won't get halfway through and go, oh, I can't be asked with this. I know I'll go, fuck everyone, I've got to fucking do this now. And I put the camera on me sometimes on purpose because I know I'll get it. I'll know I'll do it if everyone's watching.
Well, mate, public accountability works a treat, like it does. But you run out of things to do, quite simply. Do you know what I mean? So my theory on this is that normal needs to be relatively healthy. Like when no one's watching and day to day. And then if you want to put your foot on the gas, you want to climb a mountain, you want to get to the top of Everest, you want to film a body transformation. But I think we've had like well over 10,000 views on that documentary. But someone said to me, yeah, no, it's great. Like someone said, do you remember at the start of lockdown when they said, look, just give it 4 weeks and then everything will be back to normal? And I thought, yeah, shit. Originally it was just, we're just going to shut down for 4 weeks. And it's now what? Coming up 2 years? Is it 18 months?
Yeah, I mean, things aren't the way they were at the beginning now, are they? And I think I know for me certainly with everything, there's the fear of the unknown, there's the uncertainty. All I was doing, and Olga was very strict on this as well, was like, there's the guys with the master's degrees in epidemiology, professors with decades of experience. They're the guys who are telling us to do this and do that and do that. I don't know any fucking better than them. I can go and look for alternative news if I want, but let's just try and do what's being asked, because the only way to quell a virus before a vaccine comes along is through lockdown, quarantining. Yeah, that's gone back to biblical times, and that was what I knew would work. That was why I was so strict at the beginning, because I was like, at the minute, the only thing that's going to work is if everybody comes together, which is fucking hard in this day and age, and quell it together and have a little bit of unity, because that's quarantining is the only way to contain a virus. It's simple. It's basic. Medical knowledge that goes back thousands of years. If someone's sick and you ain't had contact with them, they go in a room, no one else has contact with them, no one's going to get sick. So that was it. Obviously, you're trying to do that with 66 million people in one country, 7 billion people worldwide. It's not going to be that simple. I get that. But that was what it was at the beginning. Now it's a different kettle of fish. People, we know this, we know that. There's alternate information. There's fucking, yeah, it's like a zoo for
Yeah,
information out
I
there
know,
now.
I know, I know. And the uncertainty was fine at first. The gym, my business shut down. I was like, what the fuck am I going to do? I handled all that fine. The thing that really fucked me up was when it was vaccine time. That was the real uncertainty. Like, what the fuck am I putting in my body? Should I do it? Should I not? And for about 8 weeks, man, after our first jab, that really ate me up a bit. But I want to fly next week. I've got to get on a plane, so I want to travel. So
Good.
I rolled the dice and got it. But that, for me, that was the biggest uncertainty, way more than the coronavirus itself, way more than the gym, way more than
Yeah.
business. It was like, yeah, the biggest deal was getting this needle in my arm and having this thing fucking inserted into me. It's like, what the fuck is it? Is it safe? All that kind of shit. Yeah.
You can do all the research in the world, and everyone's done their research, haven't they? We're in a debate culture now where people just sit and watch news and try and draw you into all sorts of contentious debates on things. And
yeah.
I try and avoid that. And you just got to go with your instincts on a lot of these decisions that you're going to make, and you can look into it as much as possible. But
I didn't trust my instincts on this one though, because my instincts were saying don't get this jab, but instincts versus paranoia, I'm like, oh, how do I separate the two?
and also way of life that kind of got us into a corner really where if people want to carry on and you want to get on a plane,
Yeah.
you're not getting a plane. You're not getting on a plane and going to the US of A now unless you're vaccinated. That's it. It's basically. So
You ain't getting on a plane. Simple.
yeah,
And I don't think you'll get into a stadium soon. I don't think you'll get into a restaurant eventually. I think they'll corner people that you have to get it, which is it's insane, but we'll see what happens. But so, dude, now that obviously, let's just say the phone doesn't ring for you and someone doesn't say come and work with us on this movie. Are you gonna actively be writing, and are you gonna set up your own film like you did about Mecca again, or is that something you don't want to do?
I've stopped. So the minute I've stopped writing because it's pointless. You're sitting on 35 screenplays that no one's reading. There's an argument for everything, and then the argument could be keep writing because you'll only develop as a writer, and I don't agree with that because it's a fucking point. Let's be honest, right? You ain't read the 35 that are probably half decent. The 36th one ain't gonna. The argument is maybe that 36th one will be the one. Maybe you should carry on writing. But no, I ain't writing at the minute. I did write something during the pandemic about I think it was the second or third lockdown, and that I wrote it with a sense of if push comes to shove, I can make this movie. Yeah, I can just basically shoot this movie myself, docu style, very gritty, very faithful to reality. It's set in Coventry. It's about three guys, basically trying to move on to the next chapter of their lives, but it's just not happening. It's got a lot of my encounters with certain people when I was younger, growing up on the streets. Not that I was homeless, but you know what I mean, growing up on the streets of Coventry. And yeah, that I could shoot that like the way I approached Out of Mecca. And it's there if I want to one day. At the moment, I don't want to, and I'm happy with that. But that script is there, and I know that if something triggered me, and I love this. This script's probably one of the best scripts I've ever written. I love it so much. It's called Raiders, and it would be very easy to shoot. And there will be a time where I might get excited about making that movie. At the minute, I could put the wheels in motion on that tomorrow, and I could be shooting that in 2 months. And I know it would be one of the best things I've ever made. But I'm just not motivated to do it at the moment, and that's all right. And I might be in 6 months. If I am, then I'll make it. But at the minute, I'm just earning enough money to pay the bills and be super comfortable with some freelance work, and I'm happy in that. I'm happy. I'm happy with that. And what will be at the minute. As Tyler Durden says, fuck it, let the chips fall where they may, and what will be, and that's okay. Yeah.
So how do you kind of meet your creative juices now? Because I mean, you've had some pretty open conversations. Like, you know, if we don't create, if we're not working on a project, if we're not doing something, like then we fuck up, right? We go dark, Steve, dark Alex. Like, let's bring out the JD, bring out the vodka, let's get the cigarettes on the fucking go, all that shit. Yeah, if you're not like, you know, what are you doing now to replace that, or have you actually found that you don't need that?
I keep saying to Olga, like, I miss being on set. I need to do something, almost to the point where I'm just setting up my lights and I'm shooting something more as a cinematographer than a director, because I really enjoyed exploring that. Certainly with Out of Mecca, and I do miss doing that. But I just have this feeling that another day is coming where I'm going to be on set one day. And I'm happy to have that feeling inside and not rush anything and not force anything and not try and swim upstream and just let the current carry me for a little bit and swim with the salmon and go where it takes me. I'm dead happy with that. I don't lay in bed at night going, fucking hell, man, I promised myself I'd be making movies by the time I was 45. I'm not doing it. What can I be doing? Why am I not doing? I don't I sleep well at night. Magnesium tablets, thank you very much. 12-week plan, boom. And I'm out, mate, for 8-9 hours, and then I'm up and I just got to work and I do my editing job that I do to pay the bills. And I still send me on email if someone says to me, oh, you need to check in with what's his name over in the States, or the guy in London who's just produced that movie with such and such. You should just let him know you're there. And I'll go, yeah, I will. And bob, 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 I'm here. Here's my show reel. And I go from there. I'm 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 hungry, but I'm almost passively hungry. Yeah. And I don't need to be. But when my time comes around again, I'll know it. And I truly believe it will. I'm comfortable and I'm content in that feeling. And I'll fucking grab onto it with both hands. I promise you when it does. But at the minute, go with it, man. See where it takes you. Like I said, I'm content. I've come to terms with that, and I'm happy with that. And it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
So you're self-taught, right? Because like I know you were driving a forklift truck around the old Toys R Us when that was still alive, weren't you? Before.
And that's where I met my wife as well. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
where we
crazy.
met. Yeah. So me and Olga met. She blanked me. She blanked me. I hope you're listening to this. So she blanked. Yeah. First time I went to speak to Olga, she blanked me. She just like was like, oh, I'll go over and speak to this hot young Latvian who's just started at work, because they were all talking about her, all the lads. And I was like, first time I saw her, I was like, yes, she will be mine. Wait.
What a film! What a film!
Right. So I was like, I'm dead. I am. Well, not that I do it now, but I was dead crap at just creating conversation, small talk, right, with girls. And I was like, I don't know what to say to her. So she was I was moving these boxes for all these people, and I put her this pallet of boxes down, like, for her to throw it on the conveyor about 10 o'clock at night or something, both freezing cold. But here's my big moment. Here's my big first communication to break the ice with this beautiful Latvian princess. Do you want me to just put these boxes down here next to you so you can throw them on? She went, carried on. And I went, good talk. Just drove off. I was like, okay, so that's not going. Yeah, let's just leave that, Steve. That's not going anywhere. And then other things happened. And now we've been together for 16 years. But yeah, Toys R Us, and I was self-taught, mate. I was just making movies in my spare time, dead passionate, dead hungry. I was making them behind the scenes. And here's the worst thing, bro. This will go in the movie as well when they make a movie about my life. Not that that's self-absorbed by anyway. I left Toys R Us, and I went off and did a few episodes of Fifth Gear. So I shot some films for Fifth Gear, a bit like Top Gear but cheaper. Shot my Tomb Raider fan film. I was on a roll, bro. I was on a roll, right? Nothing happened after that. Had to go back and earn money. Had to go back to Toys R Us, and they loved it. They loved that I hadn't succeeded. They loved that I had failed. They were coming up, hey,
Right, got you.
I was
Yeah.
there for 4 hours that day, and I just left. I just
Did
couldn't.
you? Oh, the straight on the first day you went back, yeah.
First day I went back that day, they were all fucking at me, and I was like, I'm gonna fucking chin someone. I just got to go, man, because like they're loving this, and I
Yeah.
don't want satisfaction. I should have never came back, but I was broke. I was broke, man, and I had to work, and then that sucked. I'll never forget it. Hey,
Mate, it does not surprise me. People love it when that kind of shit happens. If you chase your dream and you don't hit it and you go back to where you were, people are like, I told you so. They're so happy, yeah.
well, I spoke to Jeff about this, and he said a great one about there's a certain type of crab, like the Alaskan crab, will kill you when you catch the Alaskan. You know, they do the crab fishing up in the North Alaska. They said there's a type of crab. Maybe it's all the crabs. I don't know. I'm no fucking crab expert. That if one of them gets out of the cage, the others will try and kill it rather than let it escape. They'd rather it died rather than it escaped to freedom. And there's a sense of that in me going back to Toys R Us. You take the pressure off them trying to be more because you're a testament to failure because you failed. So it's okay for them to go, see, that's what happens when you try. Stay in your normal job and don't step out of the crab cage.
Yeah.
And it's a shame, but it didn't stop me and it didn't get me down. I was like, I'm better than this. I'm not going to be around this fucking piss taking. I'm still going to carry on, still going to make my movies, and I went on and made Vendetta. So fuck them.
It can fuel as well, can't it? It can be good motivation as well if you tap into it like
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah, and I think I did to a certain extent. I kind of didn't really dwell on it. I didn't let it bother me. I remember it, but it wasn't something that, when things play on your mind, it never played on my mind. So I was like, I know where I'm going and I know the truth and I know what I want to be and I'm going to get there and this don't matter. But like, I don't have to be around it for fucking £4.50 an hour or something. So I'm off. So I just walked out.
Yeah, trust Jeff to know the crab story as well. I met him the other week.
He's a legend, yeah.
Just insane. I was telling him this what I thought was a big struggle. It wasn't really about letting some stuff go. And he just looked at me and he went, Alex, when an elite soldier goes to war, he doesn't take anything that's not necessary. And then he just stopped talking. I was like, what a great analogy. He's just got an analogy for everything. I was like, fucking, that's brilliant. Yeah. I've just explained that.
Apart from Black Hawk Down, when they all went in thinking they were going for an hour and they were there for fucking 12 hours. But I get it. It's a good point, Jeff.
I still haven't seen Black Hawk.
Mate, watch Black Hawk Down. Have you seen 12 hours, 13 hours?
No, but I want to watch Dark Knight first because you told me to watch that years ago.
You haven't seen The Dark Knight with Heath Ledger as the Joker?
Nope.
But you've seen Batman.
I like Batman. It's the only superhero I like.
But have you seen Batman Begins?
Mate, there's so many fucking Batmans. When people go, have you seen Batman Returns, Batman Forever, Batman Begins?
Right, okay.
All I can remember is the Michael Keaton one with Michelle Pfeiffer and Danny DeVito when he bit that guy's nose off.
I'm going to give you a dead quick chronology, right? Batman, 1989, Michael Keaton. Jack Nicholson is the Joker.
Yeah.
Seen it?
No.
Okay. Watch that first. Get a pen.
Right.
I'm going to give you some movies. And for all of you other people watching, if you ain't seen these movies, Reynolds is this is the Reynolds wish playlist.
So this is
Batman.
Yeah.
Batman 1989.
Yeah.
Okay. Batman Returns 1992. Yeah, with Danny DeVito as the Penguin.
Seen it.
Right. But you should have watched the other one first. But it's okay. You're going to watch these now in order. Okay. Don't write this down, but Batman Forever is next. Don't watch that.
Why?
Because it's fucking terrible. Okay. And even more terrible is the one after that called Batman and Robin. Right. So don't watch that. Then in 2005, Chris Nolan came along. Thank you, Jesus.
Hold on. Was that the first time Robin? No, Robin was old school. Do you remember
Fuck Robin. Fuck Robin. Right? Unless you watch Titans. Unless you watch Titans on Netflix, because Robin's a badass in that.
No.
2005, Batman Begins. Christian Bale is Bruce Wayne, becoming Batman. Wow.
Haven't seen that either.
I prefer that to The Dark Knight. Then it's The Dark Knight with Heath Ledger as the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's The Dark Knight Rises with my mate Tom Hardy as Bane.
Yeah, I've
And
seen that one.
wow, you have watched them in some. You've seen Batman. So all of them you've only seen is Batman Returns, which is the sequel to Batman, and The Dark Knight Rises, which is the third of a series of trilogy Chris Nolan Batman movies.
That's not the last one, though, is it?
Yeah, at the moment it is.
Oh, is it? So it ends
That's
with
that's
the main one.
that's the last Batman movie, if you don't count Justice League and some other ones.
What did you think to Joker? Oh, I fucking love that film.
Love Joker. I love the bit where he's dancing on the stairs because it's a celebration of a man more than happy to surrender to who he is. Although it is a murdering psychopath. But what I love about that scene is a man that's gone, this is who I am. I'm all right with it. And he is so happy dancing on them steps. It's unbelievable. And it's the moment where one man, an individual that society has suppressed and told how not to be, is who he's supposed to be. And he becomes Joker on them steps. And I think that is one of the most beautiful moments in cinema in the last few years, in that he become, he like I just said, he becomes who he's allowed to be, and it's beautiful. The only problem is, like I said, the caveat is that he's a murdering psychopath. But yeah, great movie.
Yeah, it was one of those films, a bit like Napoleon Dynamite, where like Napoleon Dynamite, I watched that and I was like, I think it's brilliant, but it could be shit. I'm not sure, but I enjoyed what.
I love Napoleon Dynamite. Napoleon Dynamite. Have you seen Nacho Libre?
No.
Put it on your list. Jack Black. It's on Netflix. You'll wet yourself for the first hour, maybe not so much for the last half hour. Hilarious. Then while you're there, put Black Hawk Down and 13 Hours. And that's a killer Reynolds.
Jack Black's always one of those ones that, like, I never want to watch it because I don't know why. I'm just not drawn to him. But then when I watch his films, I'm like, actually, yeah, they're pretty good.
He's nuts in that movie. School of Rock, he's nuts. Tropic Thunder, he's nuts. Tropic Thunder, you seen Tropic Thunder?
No.
Where they're out in Vietnam trying to make that movie, right? Get that down. You're gonna have the best time. I wish I was watching these movies for the first time.
There's a new Rise of the Foot Soldier coming out as well. I don't know if you were into that. Like Craig Fairbrother, the big geezer. He did Muscle.
Oh, Craig Fairbrass, yeah, Craig Fairbrass, yeah.
What a unit he is. Just fucking huge, man.
He's a phenomenal actor. He's a phenomenal actor.
And he sounds like a really nice guy. He's like, look, I know the score. He goes, I know I look tough and I'm 6'4" and I'm big, so I'm only ever going to play these psychopathic roles. But have you seen Muscle?
Yeah, I have seen Muscle.
What the fuck?
Have we? No, we haven't. It's all right. We had a conversation about him recently.
Was that what you were telling me about? That?
Yeah, let's not talk about it.
Yeah.
Can't talk about that.
Yeah.
That mate. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, he's a phenomenal actor, amazing human being, and Muscle is amazing. It's an exploration of like toxic masculinity, which I fucking hate that word, but that is an exploration of proper unbridled fucking toxic man. He is ferocious in that. Yeah. Scarily good. Yeah, he's always amazing at being intimidating, and he manages to do that. He just commands every scene he's in. He's brilliant. And Rise of the Foot Soldier, I wrote one of them, or I nearly directed one of those. I nearly directed the second one.
No way, mate! One of the most violent films ever. That's the kind of film I wouldn't watch with my mum and dad.
Yeah.
It's just violent. Like every scene with him in, he's like,
and maybe Vendetta as well. Maybe Vendetta, because there's that bit where they make that poor girl go topless and do certain things to people, and then there's another scene in it.
There's something about Rise of the Foot Soldier. It's literally every scene's just violence. It's just violence.
You mean the first one, or just all of them?
All of them, especially the ones with Craig Fairbrass as the like Marbella #3, where he's the lead, and they focus the camera on him. It's just violent. You've got the word cunt like said every 30 seconds. He's just smacking everyone, bashing everyone up. But what a great film. And there's a new one coming out in a few weeks. Can't wait on Netflix. So
it's brilliant because it's directed by a friend of mine called Nick Nevin. And he was actually in Vendetta. And he's an amazing director. He actually directed a kind of spoof parody of football hooligan movies called The Hooligan Factory. and that's the absolute gold. And Nick's amazing, and he's gone in and he's directed this movie, and I've heard really good things about it. It's gonna be it's good, that new one.
I haven't seen a really good spoof movie for. I think the first good spoof movie I ever watched is probably something like Scary Movie. But I don't. Would you class Naked Gun? No, that wouldn't
Yeah,
really. Would you?
it is. Yeah, Naked Gun's a spoof. It's a spoof of
I
just
used
a
to love
general
that.
cop shows, but nothing specifically. You ever seen Airplane? That's another
Yeah.
one.
What Leslie Nielsen. I just love those. They're so stupid. I watched. Have you seen
Hold
Good
me,
Boys?
Shirley.
Have you seen Good Boys?
No.
It's from the writers of Superbad and The
Okay.
Sausage. Right, that's good.
Right. Right. Okay. Because I love
That's worth a
Superbad.
watch. I mean, talk about immature, like that's it. And like
All right. Yeah.
Get
Juvenile
Hard
comedy.
as well. Get Hard's brilliant with Will Ferrell
Get
and
Hart's brilliant with Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart's got great chemistry with everybody that he works with. You see him and The Rock in interviews together; they're unbelievable.
Jeremy.
Jumanji. They
Yeah.
have it's the press junkets that work for me rather than the movie. Yeah,
I
they're
believe
awesome.
there's 7 Batmans then, and I've only seen 2. That's insane.
There's probably and then there's a new one coming out next year with Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, they're always quite dark, aren't they? That's what I like
They're very
about.
dark. But
Yeah,
avoid Batman Forever, but definitely avoid Batman and Robin. There might be a
yeah.
few people that will go, "Fuck you, Steve, on Batman Forever. That's amazing." But no, it's my recommendation. So, but definitely, I don't think anyone will disagree with me about Batman and Robin. Just do not touch that.
I've always struggled to get into superhero movies, but like I watched Logan. I thought that was great.
Logan.
Yeah, they've got a sweet spot there. They show like the vulnerability, weakness. He can be killed. He can be hurt. Because if you can imagine a superhero that couldn't be hurt or couldn't be killed, it'd be shit, right? Because they're not. They're not. It's not relatable. Like,
Yeah,
and I've been reading about like we all want to think we're superheroes. We all want to be the hero. That's
yeah.
why we worship the best people, the best players, or courageous people. People are willing to put their life on the line and do outrageous, courageous things. It's like that. That's in us. We want to be. We want to be that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that it depends. You got your superheroes that have got their superpowers. You got Superman. You got fucking Captain America. You got and then you got your ordinary people who actually put on a suit, like Tony Stark and Bruce Wayne. I always prefer those characters and the Punisher and Daredevil because they're a lot more fallible and vulnerable, and they are more human. And I think we relate to that more than Superman, who's just entirely indestructible. But the Punisher is without doubt, my favorite superhero. He's a vigilante, not really a superhero, but he's a comic book hero. And I think that's the reason why, because he's an ordinary guy and he's a soldier, and I've got a lot of time for soldiers as well. Yeah, man, yeah,
Cool.
I'm rewatching all of the Daredevil and Punisher on Netflix at the minute, TV shows. Going back through, love them.
Cool.
Yeah,
Dude, listen, we need to hook up and train again, man. Like, I don't know, you want to come down this
absolutely.
weekend and train or do some upper
I
body?
am away this weekend. I've just put that out publicly. Nobody burgle my house. There's fuck all to take anyway, and maybe the following weekend. That'd be
Except
awesome.
for those strips behind you, man. Like, they could be worth something.
What strips? Them done.
Those
The
scripts,
the the scripts, yeah,
they could be.
mate. You know what? They ain't worth fuck all. Not yet, but maybe one day.
I've
Same as
got
this job.
I've got a new workout called the body bag that I want to try with you. It's as horrible as it sounds. So I've been threatening a
Wow,
couple of guys with it. So we want you to come along because we thought you'd be
love it.
good
I'd,
energy. Yeah.
I'm,
We'll do the upper
I love
body.
it.
Yeah.
I'm sold. I'm sold on the body bag already. Just fucking hit me with the body bag, man. Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, there's a leg one as well, but I know you're not down with doing legs.
I am, but I've got to get up to your level of doing legs, because one leg session with you, I just won't be able to walk for a month. And I hate that because then I can't go out on my bike and go running. Your leg days are just horrible. I need to get to a leg day. I need to train legs to get to your leg day.
Yeah, maybe. But are you in a like routine of training right now? Like, because I know
I am training, yeah. Going back to what you were saying about training, because I didn't really sort of finish up on that.
yeah,
I am Monday, Wednesday, Friday usually. I'll try and get back to my running a bit because that really does help with my abs. I'm doing a lot of upper body, but I'm back to my boxing. I'm basically doing a bit of everything. But I am training um, um, very frequently. My food is in a really good place at the moment. and yeah, apart from last night's Chinese, but that's the first takeaway we've had in a month. Probably have one takeaway a month. But the food, mate. I made one of these smoothies the other night: banana, protein powder, beetroot, spinach, an apple, lime, blueberries. Boom. So yeah, I was training today, train Monday, so I'll probably go for a run tomorrow, and then Friday I'll be training again.
So you've stayed clear of the Perios and Cheetos and.
Yeah, I'm off the crisps, apart from the prawn crackers last night. That always comes with the frigging Chinese. You can't turn them away, mate. Them prawn crackers, they
Crackers.
just give them away for free, and then they're still there the next day, and you're just like, yeah, I might have one of those.
They're a massive bag as well, though, bro. It's not like they just give you a few. They give you a big fuck off bag of crackers.
Yeah, yeah.
You're going to eat them all. They're there.
It'd be rude not to eat them, man. You got to eat them. It'd be rude not to. I don't like seeing food go to waste, so they got to go.
Whenever we're given something free, like I think we will, like, you know, they've given us free prawn crackers, like we have to value them, like we can't not eat them, like. And then this is where my discipline's good, but like sometimes like I find it easier to have nothing than I do like a few prawn crackers, because once I open that bag, dude, I get a taste for one.
It's all over. It's all over. Yeah. But my food's good. Like, for example, this morning, I had my favourite, which is what did I have? Scrambled eggs with spinach chopped up in it, salmon, bit of sourdough bread. And then I had a chicken salad today, and then tonight, well, I might not even eat. I might just do a bit of fasting now. But I'm in a fairly decent spot at the minute. Yeah, I could do with just losing, getting the abs back, and then but that's coming.
I think it's just more the training. So, like I say, you know that I work with a lot of guys who try and get their shit together and feel good. And for me, and you'll back me up on this. You have to do some form of exercise day if you want to feel good. You want to be at your best. Your nutrition, like, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be okay. Your booze has to be at least under control, because booze is great, man, but it can fuck you up, can't it?
I've been out of control with that, mate. I've had a funny relationship with that over the years. You know, I've flirted with it in places when, you know, it's gone. Things have just, it's a learning curve and it's life experience. And as you get older, you know, you understand how to deal with situations a little bit better. I know better now, but there's been times, you know, we've all hit the bottle, we've all been in dark places, and it's okay. We've all been there. Rein it in. As long as you rein it in, you win. And I've always got on top of it. I've always identified if I'm, I say to the missus, I've been a few too many. You know, I've drinking a lot this week now. I just cut back, chill out now, and then and you rein it in, and you stay in control. Stay in control of it. Same with food.
I'm working with two guys now that have knocked it on the head completely, and I've got to admit they're different people, man. They're telling me, they say Alex has changed my life, and one of them wasn't like that heavy a drinker. He just have a few.
Yeah,
like, he's not, but I didn't realize how head foggy I was. Like, until I stopped drinking, I didn't realize how how tired I was, how sluggish I felt until I stopped. And this was just, like I say, a couple of whiskeys maybe on a Friday night, and wake up Saturday a bit groggy, and he just didn't know, man. Just didn't know.
There'll be a time for me, and I keep I've said this to a few people, and I'm because I can feel it. There'll be a time for me. I'll go teetotal. I'll just knock it all on the head, and it's coming soon. And it will be because I want to, not because I feel like I have to, or blah blah blah. And it's coming soon, man. I'd say in the next 5 years, I'll just knock it on the head, and I'll never have a drink again. I know it's coming. I can feel it.
No, I can. I understand what you're saying. The 1 year no beer keeps calling out to me. I definitely think I could do the majority of the year. It's not a problem. Like, I don't drink at home. I'm not a big drinker like that. But things always jump out to me, like Christmas and holidays. So, like, I'll go to Iceland soon. I want to have a nice Icelandic beer and stuff like that.
Yeah. But if you had been doing your if you were having your 1 year of sobriety and that Iceland trip was at the end, you probably wouldn't struggle to do it. It's just because you're about to go, so you're going to have a drink, so it's all right. But if you were a year into it or 11 months into it, you'd be like, this ain't going to be too hard for me. I'll go to Iceland.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Especially
someone of your fortitude.
Yeah. There's just not enough reasons right now for me to do it.
No.
Do you know what I mean? I'm wondering whether, like, I think there's a certain sweet point, like, it might offer you a little bit more pleasure in life. You know, if you really are controlled and moderate it, like it's nice to have a beer, isn't it? But
Of course.
like you say, I think, yeah, if you get into it, it no longer becomes an issue. It's like anything. At first, the thought of giving up beer, not drinking at Christmas, fuck me,
Yeah.
that's terrifying. I can't do that. It's, you know, it's painful just thinking about it. But
Yeah.
like, once you do it, it's just once you get in a role, you know this with your 12-week plan. After a few weeks and you haven't boozed and you haven't ate shit, you're fine, man. In fact, you feel good. Like you
Yeah,
feel
absolutely. And then you're motivated to continue. It's like the whole thing with me not eating lamb. Like I haven't eaten lamb for 13 years. And it's a bizarre story. Lamb was my favorite meat in the world, beyond chicken, beyond salmon, beyond beef burgers, and fillet steaks. It was lamb. And long story short, I sort of saved this lamb's life, this little baby sheep, in the middle of the Brecon Beacons at 9 o'clock on a winter's night. There was this lost sheep, and I don't know why it kept bleating at me. That's what they do in it. Is it called bleating? Anyway, and I basically picked him up. He was at the fence, and every time I went to walk off, he was at the fence. He followed me, meh, and I walked down, and he followed me, meh. So I climbed the fence, picked him up, could feel his little heart beating and breathing in my hand, and I just carried him. Didn't know where I was going, and I just went over this kind of burn, and you could see all these little white, because it was pitch black, and I was like, "That's his family then." And I kind of carried him a bit closer, and they're all looking at me, and I put this lamb down, and he turned around, and I'm not making any of this up. He turned around, he went meh, and then walked off to his family, and I never ate lamb again. And I don't get it. I don't know what happened, but I never have. And once I'd gone a year, I was like, I've gone a year, so I'm not going to eat it now. And when I've gone 2 years, not now it's been 13 years. I'm not going to eat it again, am I? I've gone that long.
that makes sense. I totally hear what you're
But
saying.
I think you can do that with anything, if it's drink or whatever. That was weird. That was just an odd story and an odd moment. And again, that was a knock-on effect from Jack's. I just bought Jack's back then, and I was massively in love with him, and I would never harm a creature. I was wrestling with a fly today to get him out the window because I didn't want to kill him, and I was like, "You're so thick. I've opened the window for you, and I don't want to kill you." And he's buzzing around, and eventually I got him out the window because I didn't want to kill him. That's Jax's fault. Jax will not let me harm. I can't handle animals in distress, even down to a fly or a spider now, because if they're running away, if they're banging their head against the wall and they're irate, they're clearly feeling fear. So they're fearing and they're scared and they're running away from you. So animals, even insects, feel fear. And I'm like,
no, I know what you mean. I rationalise this.
Anyway, I ain't that dumb. Yeah, that was
all in my head, but yeah, I don't hurt anything. But when I see a fly, I'm turned into a murderer. I get that tea towel out and I'll smack the shit out of flies.
Don't get me wrong, I have done, but my first protocol is, RoboCop, protect the innocent, uphold the law from directives, protect it. Right, you've had your shot now. You've been thick. Fucking
yeah, for sure. Like get the windows open, try and get them out. But wasps as well, for some reason, I'm guilty of. Yeah,
wasps have got to go. Yeah, and it's shit being a fly, isn't it? Imagine being a fly. Imagine being a fly or a wasp. Everybody, I'm the most annoying fucking household bug in the world, and you all hate me. I'd hate being
flies. Nobody likes flies. You get little hedgehog in the garden. Most people. Oh,
I land on shit. I land on shit. I eat shit. I eat shit, and I eat leftovers in people's kitchens, and then people get annoyed, and I ruin people's cooking because I go in their soup.
Yeah.
No one likes them. Fucking flies, man. So they get a bad rep. So I always try and help them out.
Yeah, well, let's just hope that our sins don't come back and we come back as a fly for killing so many. That would be so shit, man.
Yeah.
I had this conversation with someone today. They were like, "What do you think happens when you die?" I'm like, "I don't think anything does, but maybe who knows? Maybe you do become reinvested with the planet again and come back as some weird fly or some
Fingers
strange
crossed, but maybe not a fly, maybe something a bit more, you know,
shit.
awesome, like a lion. Yeah, lion.
I think you have to do something pretty bad to come back as a fly, man.
Yeah, oh mate, that's why I try not to hurt them, man, because they've clearly had a tough life previously. So you know, I try and help them out, poor flies.
Steve Reynolds, we've been chatting shit for 90 minutes now, man. You're the kind, mate. You're one of those very, very few people that, right, I just absolutely love hanging out with you and chatting with you, man. It's always you always make me feel good. I love training. In fact, you're the only training partner I've got, really.
Let's get on it.
I don't like training with many people. Look at those sweat patches, bro.
I know, yeah, man. I'm really hot here. What's going on? September. Come on, winter.
Yeah,
Winter's coming.
It's a pleasure. So yeah, I'm gonna watch Vendetta this weekend again on Netflix. So if you haven't watched it and you're checking this podcast out, go and check it out. Vendetta on Netflix, written and directed by yours truly, Stephen Reynolds, and I'm sure we'll be seeing some of your work again, mate. Thanks for giving up your time tonight to chat shit with me. It's been a pleasure as always, man.
Anytime. Thank you so much.
Well done, bro. Right. Peace out, people.